progress.
Good morning and welcome to Community Church of Boston. This is our candle, our still small voice, maybe in the dark of night, saying peace, saying justice, saying hope. Man of anger, man of war, my heart is filled with love. Tell me what you are fighting for. My heart is filled with love. This death I see won't make me numb. My heart is filled with love. Every boy a mother's son. My heart is filled with love. Raise your voices, spread the news. My heart is filled with love. Buddhist, Christian, Muslim, Jew. My heart is filled with love. They all teach the golden rule. My heart is filled with love. Do unto others as you've had them do. My heart is filled with love. I will not fear these foreign tongues. My heart is filled with love. There is a place for everyone. My heart is filled with love. I cannot make their will my own. My heart is filled with love. Fear can turn a heart to stone. My heart is filled with love. I do not know my neighbor's name. My heart is filled with love. I love that stranger just the same. My heart is filled with love. Hope is rising from this place. My heart is filled with love. Divine wisdom, amazing grace. My heart is filled with love. Men of anger, men of war, my heart is filled with love. Tell me what you are fighting for. My heart is filled with love. Tell me what you are fighting for. My heart is filled with love. 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 Well, hi, folks. We're just bathing in the aftermath of a wonderful event we had last night. It was a screening of a film that's called Devout and Dangerous, which is all about Daniel and Philip Berrigan. And if you don't know their names, come and I'll lay some books on you or send you to see this film. It's about the actions that they committed. These were both Catholic priests, brothers, during the 60s against the Vietnam War, and it was just a remarkable story. We were joined by Phil's daughter, Phil was a priest till he was no longer a priest, and then he made a family, and Frida Berrigan is his daughter, and she joined us via Zoom. And it was just a remarkable story of these two priests, who, by the way, both spoke at Community Church numerous times, and this might be an incentive for us to find the cassettes of their addresses and digitize them and put them on our YouTube channel. It's a wonderful, amazing story of the Catholic worker movement, and several Catholic worker folks were here as well last night, and I send a shout out to you. We had wonderful food and company and watched this film. We have more screenings coming up, and they're all in our new newsletter, which, yeah, here it is. I was supposed to have a copy of, but here it is, brand new. And on this International Women's Day, a shout out to my dear, amazing, talented colleague. Her name is Crystal Rollins Jackson, and she does just the most beautiful, elegant, and stylish and graceful treatment of the graphic design for this newsletter. Every 2 months it comes out, and it's got a rundown of everything that's coming up. You can also go on our YouTube channel and see everything that has already passed as well. It's a perpetual feast of things for you to check out. This International Women's Day was going to be a speaker named Shelley McGinnis, who is from Coalition for Civil Freedoms, a nationwide organization that helps trapped by the FBI and are serving long sentences, and their families. Unfortunately, they had to postpone. Shelley McGinnis, Steve Downs, and Lena Al-Arian were going to be with us. But stay tuned. They'll be back. So that's another amazing woman who's going to present here, who I'd like to just shout out. The other shout out I make is to Jennifer Johnston. She's my wife, and she holds us up and holds me up and holds our cat up, who is 22 years old and is totally attached to her on the hip, and much to my jealousy, they're just. I get up in the morning and bring her coffee, and she's still asleep, and the cat is perched on her hip, not sleeping in a ball, but sitting very upright, as if exercising dominion and control, and as if saying, "This is my captain." Anyway, I love you, Jennifer, and thank you to all the many women who are part of this church and who hold the world up. And there's also a notice that I saw that's a noontime rally that's coming up in 40 minutes, and it's on the Common, and it's against, of course, Iran, the horror happening there, and it's also against the horror happening with ICE, and on and on. I want to sing one more song before handing it over to our presenters this morning, and so glad to have Up and Eroc here. It's just an honor and a pleasure, always. Doing music as well as presentation. This song is written by Tom Pacheco. Tom is a very prolific songwriter. He's in real rough shape. He's in a lot of pain. His wife is in the hospital, and I put together this event this Friday. It's called Tom Pacheco Night. It's an open mic, and we have about half a dozen people already signed up to sing one of his songs, and I have like 5 or 6 of his songs in steady rotation. So if nobody shows up, it'll be those 6 people and me singing several of his songs. And this is not one of them, but this is a song for our moment right now, and this is what we need. For the people who stand up and march for their rights. Here's you. Solidarity, solidarity. For the ones who shine lights through the perilous night. Solidarity, solidarity. For the souls who risk everything, strong in their stance, so their children can have a fair chance. Power in unity, fighting for what can be. Solidarity, solidarity. For the workers who strike for a real living wage. Solidarity, solidarity. In a time where the rich rule this new gilded age. Solidarity, solidarity. Where so many have nothing and a few have it all. What your grandparents fought for recalled. Hear their proud voices ring in your memory dreams of solidarity, solidarity. For the crowds that have gathered and filled the town square, solidarity, solidarity. With hope in their hearts and their hands in the air, solidarity, solidarity. They sing down all dictators, calling their bluff. When you've had enough, you've had enough. Every fear will recede in this great human sea of solidarity, solidarity. Once more. Solidarity, solidarity. Tampa Chico, next Friday, online only. We send our love and our hope for better health to Tom Pacheco. I love this man's music like you wouldn't believe. He lives in Woodstock, New York. We also have several other online concerts upcoming, and they're all in your newsletter. One is Lori Diamond, Fred Abatelli, and their daughter, who's named Annalise Diamond Merrihew. And their daughter has some challenges, but sings beautifully. And they have this wonderful show that's all about inclusion and all about embracing every family there is. Love makes a family. That's what that concert is about. Then we have two live concerts. Ben Grosscup is a serious People's Music Network director for 12 years he was, and he will be giving us an in-person concert in April, as well as May 23rd, Magpie, the wonderful duo who join us a lot online, but this will be them live here. Lots of other stuff to tell you about, but I won't, because I'll go on to the next thing which I want to talk about. We found this photograph from, let's say, 15 years ago, and it's all the people that came to hear David Olson, who was our minister for maybe 7-8 years before he while he was in seminary, and he got his divinity degree and was ordained, and he said, fuck this shit, I'm out of here to get a real job as a minister at a big church, which has happened to us twice. I'm sorry I cussed. This is the only church where you can cuss with purpose. This is church. This is church. And I'll tell you how I know this is church, because when Brother Blue was here 25 years ago, before he told his beautiful story, which you can find on our YouTube online, he got down and kissed the ground, and he said, "This is sacred ground." And if Brother Blue said that, it's true. You know, we just think of this floor as something that Luis has to mop a lot, because we have a million functions in here. We have 7 or 8 different groups that meet in here for organizing, and we have all kinds of stuff goes on. And it's not just a function room. Sacred ground. I keep saying that over and over. Sacred ground, and even the fishies that used to swim under here 200 years ago. We're sorry we evicted you, and they filled it. They filled the back bay in, And we hope we can make amends to you, fishies, and Massachusetts tribe who plied the banks of this bay. And you can still find sometimes the fish weirs that they would catch the fish when they were doing work in the Boston Common. That was found there. I was telling you about this photo. It's like a sad thing is that about half of these people are no longer with us. But there's the other half that we're starting on a project. We're doing oral histories. And these will be on our YouTube channel. We start a week from Friday with David Lewitt, age 99. He was born on August 3rd, 1926. And he's doing pretty good for 99, I'll tell you. And the reason I know his birth date is he's born the same day as my mother. Way back in 1926 when Community Church was just 6 years old. But we're going to start doing that with a whole lot of people just curious to find out a lot more about our recent history. We have archives on the 5th floor that have been neglected for decades and decades, and we have a chance now to really study them, preserve them, enjoy them, and celebrate them. Jerry Kaplan, our longtime 3-year volunteer, new member still 3 years, but is here 3 days a week, like clockwork, working on archives. And it's going to be a beautiful thing when we have them preserved. And it's going to take years, but I am going to be his loyal assistant in that task. It's a wonderful window into the 20th century history of struggle and history of imperialism, history of the search for justice and peace. That's what we're about. We used to be much more churchy than we are now, but let's redefine what church means. Right now, right here. I always bring a bunch of books to talk about a tiny bit. The first is this couple, Gina Crandall, David Ruchnick. Gina is a Christian, David is Jewish, and this is about their kind of dialogue with each other. They've been married for 45 years in a marriage. It's called Struggling with Israel in a Marriage, and it's a really beautiful book about marriage, and it's about Palestine and Israel. And they published this book, and they were thinking about doing a book signing kind of a book release here, and I said, we'd love to do that. This is just like it's so many people's story, especially here. We have, it's like we were in the 50s. It was a big deal to marry somebody out of your religion or your color, and so we have that history. But then they backed out. They said we didn't want to do it. Still, this is an elegant, wonderful book. There's also Frida Berrigan, who was with us last night. It runs in the family on being raised by radicals and growing into rebellious motherhood. Frida is a wonderful carrier on of the flame of the Berrigan brothers. And I really can hardly wait till we show that film again. It's really beautiful. We had the filmmaker here. He came up from Block Island to be with us. Prison Poems by Daniel Berrigan. No, I won't read one right now because we got a great program. This is a speaker who's coming to us soon. His name is John Fabian Witt, professor of history at Yale. This is called The Radical Fund, How a Band of Visionaries and $1 Million Upended America. And it's about the founding of the ACLU and the NAACP and the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom that was funded by a fund in 1920 or so. And it's really interesting because it's right when our church was founded and when it started getting off the ground, and then it took off like crazy till it was a mega church. He met in Symphony Hall. 2,000 people would come to hear W.B. Du Bois or hear the likes of Robert Frost or the likes of Helen Keller or the likes of just a bunch of other remarkable speakers back in the day when that was they defined that as church. Finally, final book, I promise. Jonathan Moeller came to visit us this week, and he's been here before. And this is called Resist to Live, Truth and Justice in Guatemala. Jonathan is a photographer, has been documenting the struggle of indigenous people all the way back to the time when the genocide in the 80s happened. And he was with the people who were in resistance in the mountains, deep in the mountains of Guatemala. And this is a remarkable testament to their strength and power. We're going to also have Jonathan's another art display on our walls. It's another book that he wrote. It's called Young Cuba, and in this moment of Cuba's travail, it's really fitting that we host that. It will fill all the walls of the church. We are so glad to welcome Eroc and Op, and this is kind of you call it pinch hitting, last minute. They are the music and the program, and I really look forward to this because these are men of substance who have led this amazing hip-hop group, and it's taken them all over the world to an unbelievable number of places, and I think we'll get to hear about that a little bit, and we'll also get to hear a little bit about Eroc's venture on Substack, writing beautiful radical words to have us subsidize him so he will write more beautiful radical words. Yeah. Are we going to start with a song or yeah, sound good? Sound good? Yeah, and then a little more announcements, and then we'll do the program. Sound good? Yeah, we just made that up. Would you join us for the first song? I'm going to lead it. Sure. All right. Sure.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Here we go.
And to anyone either at home now or that watches this in the future when I share it with them, or when you all share it with them. So I love the image of Brother Blue 25 years ago kissing the kissing the ground, because one, as a photographer, I photographed his funeral, his memorial service, and two, me and Op performed here for the first time 25 years ago. So by way of divine coincidence, and just making the connection that I can feel a warmth to that sense of like time, and the history of this space that makes a sacred resistance just by continuing to exist, so that people can share space together, food together, community together, music together, conversation together, critical thought together. So what a pleasure, y'all. I'm looking forward to sharing with y'all today. I've been the writer, since I can remember, but I've taken to really sitting down and thinking about what the goal of the writing is for me, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you. And before we start, I wanted to do a freedom song, and it's connected to the reading today, and it's one that I was taught by the late Hollis Watkins of Jackson, Mississippi. Hollis is one of the founders of SNCC. And when I was younger, I went down south as a teenager, and he taught us the song. And he taught us the song on the same day that we went to James Chaney's grave, which was defaced and attacked by the local Klan. And we cleaned it, and we planted some trees, and he says that they go back basically like every year, and they have to do it again and again. And he's passed away, but he gave me this song, right? So shout out to the power of music. Sometimes when the feelings are so strong for me, music can make me find my way to to grounding. Does that resonate with anyone?
Oh, yeah.
And then sometimes for me, this is why I wanted to start with something that we can join in with. Because me and Ob like to do stuff that includes people, but also because you can feel it move through you. So we wanted to do, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind, it was stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Is it walking and talking here? I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah. Let's do 3. Let's get it ready. Let's go. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind, it was stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind,
it was
stayed on freedom. Hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah. We're going to do one more, and you're going to follow, Willie. Listen, I woke up this morning with my heart stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my heart stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my heart stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Good morning. Isn't it nice when we can sing together, though? Doesn't that feel good? You can feel it sometimes, if we're not too numb, feel it in our chests, maybe feel it in our hearts. I'm going to do some reading today. I want to say a few things before I get into reading. And thank you, Optimus, for everything. I don't know how to close this here. Little helpsies? Because my mind. All right. Hey, so side note, Friday night, I took one of my elders, 76 years old, Mama J, celebrating her birthday, and I took her to go see the Delphonics, the Manhattans, the Stylistics, and Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes in Connecticut. And so I was just sitting there, immersed in their talent, and also the fact that they're in their 70s still doing it. And it was refueling. So just, think about like sometimes for me, it's that soul music, but for you, it might be something else. Don't forget what it feels like to put it on and just listen and sing along. Dean, I want to say respectfully, with all my heart and love, you are adorable to me. I adore you. I mean it in the most sincerest way. I adore the way that you move. And I appreciate the way in which you bring us in and the way in which you see me and Optimus and have for the years.
Thank you, Eroc.
Of course. And by the way, shout out to being a space where the babies can move through freely and feel safe. So some things before I literally just read, but some things before I get to that is the repetition, because sometimes it feels good to be grounded in a politic or a framework that whenever I write, thank you so much. My goal is to critique and come from an anti-imperial lens, a decolonizing lens, anti-white supremacist, Christian nationalist, Christian hegemony lens, and trying to figure out my battle with how are we countering patriarchy and capitalism and then this imperial death machine that is operating at a pace in which we cannot stop it with the best song or the best protest, but we have to somehow continue to exist in a space that says the Overton window isn't going to continue to move to the right. There are those of us who believe that we're not going to study war no more. Yeah. And war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Exactly. So I was after the killing, the assassination, the state-sanctioned murder of Alex Pretty. I was asked to join a live stream with Pastor William Broderick from the 12th Baptist, my friend organizer, former city councilor Damali Vidal, and it was hosted by Ricky Grant. And one of the questions had turned me to thinking about what my history knew about abolitionists in Massachusetts and how there was a pride, and I was thinking about how schools never taught us really much about them. And that part of that is to continue in the brainwashing narrative that there were not white people who were against this abysmal system of slavery, chattel slavery, capitalism, and exploitation of the worker. There were, and they can be critiqued. They should be. We should all be able, in the words of James Baldwin, to receive critical love from those who love us. I don't need critical anything from those who hate me, but critical love from those who are trying to coexist with us. And so I thought about how amazing it would be for white folks if they could know about John Brown and Charles Sumner and William Lloyd Garrison. And I will go into this here. And that's what's going to be my attempt here to read for y'all. Sound good? Yeah. All right. When I read, I come down here, so let me know. I'm looking at you to make sure I'm heard. And all right. And this piece is called Bound Up Together, because I think our liberation is bound up together. I keep thinking about Renee Good and Alex Pretty. What does it cost to choose solidarity over safety? What does it cost your family? A poet and a mother, a nurse at the VA, two white folks killed by federal agents in the span of weeks for standing with their community against ISIS occupation of Minneapolis. I didn't know them, but I've cried about what happened to them. I imagine Good's children growing up without their mother. I think about Pretty showing up to his ICU shifts and then showing up to resist ICE and not coming home. They understood their liberation was bound up with the liberation of the people. Empire is disappearing, and empire killed them for that. ICE also recently killed Keith Porter Jr., a 43-year-old black man shot by an off-duty ICE agent outside his Los Angeles apartment on New Year's Eve. 32 people, and I think the number is up since I wrote this, have died in ICE custody since 2025. ICE's deadliest year in 2 decades. In Minneapolis, ICE threw tear gas into a car with 6 black children. The mother watched her youngest go lifeless, foam around his mouth. She breathed into him until he came back. MAGA officials from the White House to Homeland Security called Good and Pretty domestic terrorists. The system calls the immigrants they defended illegal. But when people defend empire's violence, different treatment entirely. Kyle Rittenhouse killed 2 people and injured a 3rd at Black Lives Matter protest. Killed in the defense of white supremacy. Good and Pretty stood against it. Rittenhouse got acquitted and celebrated. Good and Pretty got executed and demonized. When white people use violence to uphold white supremacy, empire calls it self-defense. But when white people stand with the oppressed, empire calls them race traitors, domestic terrorists. Sometimes it kills them, but always it tries to destroy their examples. The public executions are meant to terrorize us. Empire wants us afraid to stand together. afraid, excuse me. Can I get the water? Thank you so much. Y'all with me? Yeah. Wonderful, thank you so much. The public executions are meant to terrorize us. Empire wants us afraid to stand together, afraid to recognize the attacks on immigrant communities are attacks on all of us working towards collective liberation. Want us to believe that solidarity means death. But Good and Pretty aren't alone in history. They're a part of the lineage, and that's what I want to talk about this morning. I'm going to talk about 3 white abolitionists, William Lloyd Garrison, Charles Sumner, and John Brown. And I want to be clear about why. It's not to center white people as the heroes of abolition. Black people have been central to the freedom struggle in this country since the first person was stolen from the West African shores. So have indigenous people resisting genocide and colonization, immigrants helping to build labor movements, queer people fighting for liberation. Within all these movements, there were always white people who chose differently, who chose the oppressed over whiteness. Dominant culture erases them on purpose. Because if only people knew Garrison, Sumner, and Brown existed, they may follow a different example. They might understand that betraying empire for the sake of humanity has always been possible. So instead, we get Washington, who owned over 300 enslaved people. Jefferson, who wrote, "All men are created equal," while enslaving 600 people, including his children. Lincoln, who said he'd preserve slavery if it meant keeping the Union together. They are all honored with monuments, safe heroes who let people feel good about America without challenging anything. They hide the people who actually built the movement. William Lloyd Garrison. He started The Liberator, an abolitionist newspaper, in 1831. First issue declaring the war on slavery, he wrote, "I am in earnest. I will not equivocate. I will not excuse. I will not retreat a single inch, and I will be heard." He kept publishing for 35 years. He burned the Constitution in public because it protected slavery. He called it a covenant with death and an agreement with hell. In 1835, a pro-slavery mob seized him with a rope around his waist and dragged him around Boston's streets, attempting to lynch him. The mayor arrested Garrison, not the mob, for disturbing the peace. Georgia, the state of Georgia, offered $5,000 for his arrest. That would be $184,000 today. He kept going. And here's what mattered most. Frederick Douglass, still enslaved in Maryland, got his hands on The Liberator. He wrote that it became his meal and his meat and drink, that his soul was set on fire, that for the first time he felt a thrill of joy and the knowledge that he wasn't alone. That's what terrified the South. People kept building consciousness, people learning they were not alone. Charles Sumner, a U.S. Senator from Massachusetts. This is where I want to spend some time because this one is special. There's a tunnel named after Charles Sumner in Massachusetts. I grew up driving through it, but we never learned in school who he actually was. See, Sumner grew up in a majority black neighborhood in Boston. His father, an abolitionist, told him that freeing enslaved people would do us no good unless society treated them equally. Young Sumner heard black Bostonians' stories and the injustices they faced. This shaped him, understanding from his childhood into his adult life. He worked with Robert Morris. This is one of my favorite things in my research that I found out. So if you're a nerd like me, this one is fun. He worked with Robert Morris, one of the first black attorneys in the United States, to challenge school segregation right here in Boston. the first case argued by an interracial legal team in American history. His arguments about segregation's psychological harm were cited in Brown versus the Board of Education a century later. Is that not magical? That's our legacy. He stood on the Senate floor and he called slavery the harlot that the Southern senators had taken on as their mistress. He said there is no other side. He used his position to call out the violence in language so fierce that in 1856, South Carolina Representative Preston Brooks beat him nearly to death with a cane on the Senate floor. I didn't learn that in school, and I'm from here. Isn't that something to be proud of? It took him 3 years to recover, and he came back fiercer. He became a leader of the radical Reconstruction, fought for it until he died in 1874. On his deathbed, he begged visitors to pass the Civil Rights Bill. It passed the year after his death, the last civil rights legislation for 82 years. When I first really learned about Charles Sumner, something shifted in me. He got beaten nearly to death for speaking the truth. He came back. It inspired me to be braver. But more than that, it helped me to understand that there has always been a history of organizing across racial lines for liberation. That gave me examples for the work I was trying to do. John Brown. John Brown understood what slavery was. He named it war on black people, not a peculiar institution, not a political disagreement. War. Everywhere is war. In 1859, he led a raid on the federal arsenal at Harper's Ferry, Virginia. The plan was to seize the weapons and arm enslaved people for a mass rebellion. The raid failed. Brown was captured, tried for treason, and hanged. 5 of the 22 men who raided Harper's Ferry were black. Osborne Perry Anderson, John Anthony Copeland, Shields Green, Lewis Sheridan Leary, and Dangerfield Newby. What a great name. Some free, some formerly enslaved. They were willing to die to try and end it. Before his execution, Brown said, "If it is deemed necessary that I should forfeit my life for the furtherance of the ends of justice and mingle my blood further with the bloods of millions in this slave country whose rights are disregarded by wicked, cruel, and unjust enactments, I submit, so let it be done." I didn't learn about him in school either. Some of the elders would be like, John Brown, and there was a couple songs, and we keep him alive a little bit more than the other two. But what a story. John Brown is a hero to me. He understood slaveholders would never surrender their wealth and power willingly. The Civil War proved him right. These weren't people working in isolation. Garrison's relentless publishing and fundraising, Sumner's institutional power, Brown's willingness to take up arms, different approaches that reinforced each other. Together, they built a movement that forced a reckoning. How I found this history, why this is important to me. I first went to Harper's Ferry in the summer of 1998 with Project Hip Hop. Highways into the Past, History Organizing Power, a Boston organization that connected young people to civil rights history. I was 17. I was learning things that my high school never taught me. We traveled 5,000 miles through the South, visiting monuments, movement sites, and learning from the activists who had lived it. I'd never heard of John Brown until that trip. We visited Viola Liuzzo's grave, a white mother from Detroit murdered by the Klan after Selma. We visited the places where Medgar Evers and Martin Luther King Jr. were assassinated. We visited Fannie Lou Hamer's grave. I'm sick and tired. James Chaney's grave, defaced by the Klan. We cleaned it alongside the late civil rights activist Hollis Watkins. He taught us freedom songs and shared his memories of working for human rights in Mississippi. That trip taught me the terror that had always been the tool of white supremacy. The Klan terrorized black communities and killed white accomplices in the 1960s. Before the Klan, slave patrols. Now ICE does the same work. The uniforms are changed, but the function does not. I discovered Project Hip Hop in detention. I went to a high school that would give you detention if you were late. So I would often be late and I had detention. I discovered Project Hip Hop in detention in high school. Someone left a copy of the Rising Times, the organization's youth-led newspaper. I read it cover to cover. For the first time, I felt seen. I applied for the trip. After that first journey, I started writing for the Rising Times. It's why I still write. This foundation taught me that writing could be a tool for liberation, not just self-expression. I later worked at Project Hip Hop as an educator and a tour guide. I drove those vans. I stood at Harper's Ferry 3 times after that first visit, watching young people, mostly black and brown, but some white kids too, stand where Brown made his stand. The place is quiet now. It's preserved, it's sanitized, but you can still feel what happened there, the desperation. I've been to Garrison's grave at Forest Hill Cemetery. It's just minutes from my home. They never taught us in school that he was even buried here. People still leave stones on his grave. I've left stones there myself. I've stood at Sumner's grave in Cambridge. I walked the ground at Harper's Ferry. I needed to see the places where people made their choice. Needed to feel it in my body and know it in my head. Last September, the Trump administration ordered the National Park Service to remove the displays at Harper's Ferry. That detailed the realities of slavery. They covered up the parts of the John Brown Museum. They called it corrosive to American history. The displays that changed my life at 17, they're covered up so the next generation won't have what I had. That's why erasure matters so much to me. These aren't abstract historical figures. They're people whose graves I've been to and brought others to see, who died on ground I've stood on. Part of my work was helping people understand that history isn't over. We're making the same choices right now. So what happened? What happened after the Civil War ended? After Garrison and Sumner and Brown gave what they had? The Confederacy wasn't punished. The architects of slavery, the generals who led armies to preserve it, the politicians who built their careers on it, most of them faced no consequences. Some lost plantations. Some couldn't hold federal office for a few years. But they were not executed for treason like John Brown was. They weren't imprisoned. Their wealth stayed in their families. And within a decade, they were back in power. Reconstruction could have been the moment when the abolitionist vision became real, and for a time it was. Black people built political power that terrified white supremacy. 16 black men served in Congress. Over 600 served in local state legislatures. They wrote new constitutions guaranteeing public education and workers' rights. They created schools, mutual aid societies, and economic cooperatives. In South Carolina, black legislators were the majority. Sumner fought for this until he died. But white supremacists launched a campaign of terror to destroy what black people had built. The Ku Klux Klan, white mobs, massacres, lynchings. They lynched black elected officials. They burned down schools. Sounds familiar? They murdered organizers and intimidated voters. They overthrew Reconstruction governments by force. And too many white people just got too tired of this fight. They wanted peace more than they wanted justice. They wanted to move on. They got neither. They let the Confederates come back. They let them terrorize black voters. They let them write Jim Crow laws that reimposed a version of slavery through segregation, sharecropping, and convict leasing. They let them build movements to slaveholders and call it heritage. The people who tried to destroy this country to preserve slavery were never held accountable because they weren't. They got more powerful. They reimposed white supremacy through law and violence, erased Reconstruction from history, and taught their children that the Civil War was about states' rights, not slavery. Now watch the pattern repeat. Trump tried to overthrow the government on January 6th. Biden's administration failed to hold him accountable. Now Trump is president again. The people who stormed the Capitol got pardoned. The architects of the coup are in his cabinet. No accountability. More power. The Confederacy should have been dismantled. The leaders should have faced the consequences of treason, the way John Brown did. Their wealth that was built on slavery should have been redistributed, and it wasn't. And we're still paying the price 160 years later. That's the lesson. When you don't hold white supremacists accountable, when you want reconciliation more than justice, when you let people who tried to overthrow liberation come back to power, and they will, they'll be worse. The people who let them off the hook become collaborators in what's next. This is the through line from Reconstruction to now. Failure to hold white supremacists accountable creates the conditions for them to return stronger. Empire punishes the wrong people. Garrison got dragged through these streets. Sumner got beaten nearly to death. Brown got hanged. Good and Petty executed in those Minnesota streets. The Confederates got their wealth back. Trump got his White House back. The narrative we get is that slave owners were men of their time, that we can't judge them by today's standards, that everyone back then thought slavery was acceptable. Garrison, Sumner, and Brown proved that's a lie. They lived in the same America where slavery was legal. They breathed the same air, and they found slavery so repulsive that they were willing to die to end it. When we say slave owners were men of their time, what we're really saying is that we choose comfort over conscience. They choose the devil's bargain that whiteness has offered them. And when we make excuses for them, we're hiding the fact that there was always another choice available to us. I'm not holding these men up as saints. Garrison was sometimes paternalistic. Sumner put too much faith in the law over grassroots organizing. Brown's raid was tactically flawed. You know, there were ways from understanding historians about what they were doing, but bless them. Bless them. Brown got a trial before his execution. He didn't just get lynched. Think of Nat Turner. Choosing the oppressed doesn't make you oppressed. It makes you a co-conspirator for liberation. And co-conspirators need to stay clear about where they stand, not above the struggle, but in it, accountable to the people whose liberation is bound up with yours. So here we are at Community Church in Boston, in a moment when federal agents are executing people for standing with their neighbors, in a moment where they drop bombs and weaponry in Iran and Palestine and Lebanon, using our taxpayer money to take life that has no price, priceless. So here we are at Community Church in Boston in a moment where federal agents are executing people for standing with their neighbors. When the history that shaped me is being covered up, when empire is telling us solidarity means death,
This moment needs more people doing what Garrison, Sumner, and Brown did. Not the same exact things, but making the same choices. Maybe you're a Garrison. You can write, teach, build media, create infrastructure that outlasts this moment. Publish the truth relentlessly. Maybe you're a Sumner. You have institutional access, a teaching position, a union role, a government job, a platform. You use that. A position to make sure that empire's violence is impossible to ignore. Speak truth in spaces where truth costs you something. Maybe you're a Brown and you believe in direct action. When ICE raids your neighborhood, maybe you show up and you alert your community. Maybe you document what's happening. Maybe you refuse to let terror become normal and you put your body where your values are. Or maybe you're a little of each. The point isn't to pick one lane. The point is to use what you have where you are right now. Garrison made the choice every time he published The Liberator. Sumner made it every time he stood on the Senate floor. Brown made it the day he chose liberation over his safety. Good and Preddy made it when they stood with their community against ICE, our community. The choice isn't one dramatic moment. It's 100 small decisions that add up to a life on the side of liberation instead of comfort. We don't have to build this alone. There are collectives already organizing, independent media already sharing the truth, mutual aid networks already protecting people. Find them, join them, support them. We'll bring it on home. Frederick Douglass said, where justice is denied, where poverty is enforced, where ignorance prevails, and where any one class is made to feel that society is an organized conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade them, neither persons nor property will be safe. Our liberation is bound up together, and it always has been. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean, for having me.
Thank you for having us. We're happy to be had. Thank you, Eroc, and thank you, Op. This is the moment that we tell you that there happens to be a basket back there that takes little green rectangles that are legal tender, and that helps us keep this building afloat and keep this mission. Mission is mission a good word? I'm the child of missionaries, and I sort of lost interest in that. Mission, yeah, call it a mission, whatever you want to call it. Just this thing afloat. We are in a wonderful transition. We spent 2.5 years without our main source of income, which is a restaurant on the first floor. We were vacant, and now we are non-vacant, and we have finally a steady source of income. A really good restaurant. They sent us a bunch of sandwiches for last night's reception for the filmmakers, and we are slowly crawling out from under a mountain of debt that we incurred during those 2.5 years. It feels steady but good, and finally our board gets to talk about something other than brokers and lawyers and bankruptcies, and we get to talk about what we just heard about from Eroc: justice, peace. And we get to think about maybe we could have a minister, maybe we could have a children's program in this church. We have a third floor that has recently been vacated of a huge archive that we inherited of the Sacco and Vanzetti case. Bob Datilio passed away 4 years ago and left us. He was maybe the world's foremost scholar of the Sacco and Vanzetti case, and we inherited his treasure trove of materials from that case. Jerry Kaplan, again, I mentioned him before, spent 3.5 years organizing it, archiving it, and it's just gone to the Boston Public Library, so we will soon have a vacant space on the third floor, maybe that'll be our living room where we can have kids come and hang out, where we can have maybe what we had before, which was called a justice school for kids. These are just dreams that I have about what we could do here. So the basket is in the back, and there's also a website that has a credit card or a PayPal option. And so help us make this thing happen, help us keep this thing going. We're trying to fill it with as much activity as we can. We already have like 8 organizations that meet here and do organizing, all the DSA committees, the Extinction Rebellion, Sunrise Movement, Veterans for Peace. It goes on and on. So check us out. Check out our website as well. It has some both historic as well as some recent addresses that are just really remarkable. I think of Rebecca Armstrong, who was with us on March 1st, and think of our memorial for Charles Coe, the poet, the amazing author who passed away and was a frequent presenter here at the Community Church. All kinds of things to think about. And, have we got a song to finish out with here? And is it, yeah, or we could either, we got a Bluetooth here.
Oh, cool.
Will that work?
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
It's called Bose something or other.
All right.
And we'll put a microphone on the speaker there. That's the best way, unless it's like on a YouTube.
We'll figure it out once we get it on the speaker. We'll figure out the volume and sound. We're gonna do another one with where crowd participation is invited, and this one is original that we wrote. Maybe you could tell them about it while I look for the Bluetooth. Yeah, I was gonna.
Here you go.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. How's everyone feeling out there? Yeah, folks are feeling good. I see some head nods. I see some smiles, laughter. Thank you for sharing all that. So my name is Optimus. One of the things I'm proud of that I would like to bring here is I'm a father of a 12-year-old by the name of Sawazi. I wanted to share a little bit about, I wanted to share a piece real quick before we go into it. And yeah, I'm gonna just go in. As I share this piece, I want you to kind of think about, are there any artists or any people in particular that ring out to you that you know? And I'll at the end, I'll just kind of ask you if you know those folks, and you can kind of share a little bit with them. I'm like Huey Bobby Seale and Lil Bobby Hutton. Self-determination strapped on the streets of Boston. Law book in my hand. I swear to tell the whole truth. My city under siege by politicians and police troops. Nowhere to move got me searching for alternate routes. Lock me up, call me Assad, I'm fleeing to Cuba. Politic with Nahanda strategized maneuvers. Independent thinking, spare to Patrice Lumumba. You can murder me, can't murder revolution. Fred Hampton, optimist, true rebel musician. Voice of the voiceless, I want the world to listen. Solitary can't confine this mind I was given. Rest in peace, Howard Zinn, your life is a blessing. People been ignored, policies need addressing. And I'm a patriot, state and government ascension. Cause we riders and we fighters if I didn't mention. Repetitive, most of the music we hear is negative. Music I want to hear is intelligent. They keep faking it, we keep creating it. We are here at Community Church. Hope you appreciate it. Thank you. So this song we're gonna get into has some music in the background, or not? Okay. Yeah, then it won't be. Yeah, we'll do it like that.
This is a sign. We'll go out and fellow there. Yeah, Op and I have been doing this for 25 years now and have had the opportunity to perform in many different places, and including here. So have a lot of memories in this space that were really wonderful with people who are no longer with us, like Chuck Turner,
Rising power.
Yeah. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is for the long
Okay.
shot.
I didn't know if you were gonna intro
Oh,
it. So
yeah.
we're gonna what we want from y'all is long shot. And then sometimes singy songy, sometimes we just say it like a chant. So it's like, this is for the long shots, never supposed to be on top. The long shots, so they plot to brutalize us. Now we the
Long shots.
gotta stop, the system's corrupt. We've been silent for too long, and now we're making a fuss. This is for the never supposed to be on top.
So they plot to brutalize us.
Now we the
Gotta stop, a system's corrupt. We've been silent for too long, and now we're making a fuss.
So we got it? All right.
All right.
Shall we?
Yeah.
All right. This is for the
Long shots never supposed to be on top. The long shots, so they plot to brutalize us. Gotta stop, a system corrupt. We've been silent for too long, and now we're making a fuss. Never supposed to be on top. So they plot to brutalize us. Gotta stop, a system corrupt. We've been silent for too long, and now we're making a fuss. With a deck stacked against me, born black, family of immigrants and great-great-grands who ain't owned land. So I became a man, able to stand on my own too. Contributing factors, mother's love and the father's rules. Surrounded by aunts and uncles who adore you. Tell you the sky's the limit, even that could be surpassed too. Glimpse into my eyes, generation passed through. Living off my ancestors' lives with deep planted roots. Dark rooms, no returners where they held you. But I developed picture perfect, watch us living proof. Through the pain, through the chains, through all the abuse. We survive and we thrive, nah, crew, long shot. Never supposed to be on top. So they plot to brutalize us, now we the gotta stop, the system's corrupt. We've been silent for too long, and now we're making a fuss.
This for the
Never supposed to be on top.
the long shot.
So they plot to brutalize us.
Now we the
Gotta stop, the system's corrupt. We've been silent for too long, and now we're making a fuss.
yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with my mind stayed on freedom. My mind is stayed on freedom. After hearing about those three heroes, it's great. It's great. Howard Zinn, afresh, anew, right here in our space. People's history. It's amazing to think about, and what I say over and over is the Revolutionary War is not near as important as the 60s civil rights movement in this country. That's the real revolution, and it's ongoing. And to quote a song that I sing a lot, to a more perfect union we aspire and lift our voices from the fire. That's Jean Rose's song. She's sung here a number of times. Well, thank you everybody for coming. I see some new faces, and I see some stalwart faces who are here every Sunday, and it's always a treat to have you. I see a face of somebody who was here a lot and has been gone and is back for a month or so. Welcome, Max. Good to see you. Good to see you. And next to him is someone I just met named Levi, and it's just always new folks, new faces, and best of all, for 30 years, we're celebrating 30 years with Luis Guzman, who's our cook and our janitor, and our solid rock keeps this place going like nobody else. And that's 30 years with Luis, and 11 years with Crystal Rollins Jackson. It's a remarkable thing. And similar number of, Zinli is our bookkeeper. He's been with us for 2004. That's 22 years. And just keeps us honest, keeps us transparent. And so thanks for coming to Community Church. All you who are on the Zoom, if there's any comments or questions and answers, we're free to talk to Eroc here. If there's none, we're free to have lunch, which is waiting for us aromatically on the table. Luis always has something good for us. Is there anybody on the Zoom? Little expert here, and so I say to you, sisters and brothers, and all of you, the meeting is over. We must part. Our meeting is over, but I will love you in my heart. And we'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore and be safe forevermore, and be safe forevermore. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Keep in touch. Do good work. Come see us. Get a free tour of our archives. Talk to us about yourself, and we'll talk to you about us. Okay? See you soon. Copley Square.
Recording stopped.